safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban, a multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veterans services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who's interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, December 18th. It is 8:30. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the Finance and Physical Resources Committee meeting. I'd like to thank my fellow commissioners, guests we have in the audience, fellow staff. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come to our meeting this morning. We always start with public comment. Public comment is 3 minutes long and per person. So if there is anyone who wishes to address the Finance and Physical Resources Committee board this morning, please step up, state your name and address, and we will give you notice. We do it at the minute mark, right? At the 2-minute mark when your public comment time is about to end. So with that, we open up public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the Finance and Physical Resources Committee? Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Lawrence Dutler. My address is 5337 Pine Slope Drive, Southwest, Wyoming, Michigan, 49519. I received a notice late yesterday about an agenda item regarding the land bank. I'm one of the owners of Sun Title Agency here in Grand Rapids and numerous offices throughout Kent County. And I just wanted to speak just for a minute. I know there's a lot of a lot of feelings about the land bank one way or the other, but I wanted to at least give my input just quickly on the practical side of what the land bank does. As a title company, anytime you're looking to transfer property, it's critical that you've got clear title to it. In other words, there can't be encumbrances, things that prohibit the transfer of the title to the new buyer. One of the things that prohibits title companies from ensuring a transaction, whether it be a refinance, a sale, or anything like that, is good title after a tax foreclosure. It's very challenging. Michigan and a lot of the big underwriters don't understand all the various states. They have blanket requirements on how to go about doing that. One of the things that the land bank does is it does provide a clearinghouse for clear title. Property goes into the land bank, then gets basically washed by the statute, and then comes back out. The state land bank is not capable of doing that. They don't have the resources, they don't have the interest, they don't have the time, and I don't believe they have quite the authority that the Kent County Land Bank does. As the largest county on the west side of Michigan, the thought of having this county without a land bank just does not make a lot of sense. I don't know if you all remember 2008. I had a title company at the time. It was brutal. It was brutal. And fortunately, with the land bank in place, it gave us a real opportunity to clean up a lot of these properties, transfer title, get them in the hands of developers and users and the like through the statutory process. So I want you to consider if the economy goes down again, not that it will anytime soon, but when it does, I think when it does, that's not the time to think about restarting the land bank, trying to find the talent to run the land bank, that kind of thing. This county can't be, in my opinion, without a land bank, with the number of properties we have, and frankly, their expertise that they share throughout the state, even though they're focused on Kent County, they are truly a resource for numerous organizations throughout the state, not just Kent County. So I would just encourage you guys to think about the practical aspects of what the land bank does and how important it is to the community, to the transfer of title, to cleaning up some of these properties. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi there, Amy Miller, 1134 and a half Wealthy Street. I don't think anybody could say anything more eloquently than Lawrence just spoke, but also from the practical side, I'm in real estate. I sell homes, and the land bank helps jumpstart neighborhoods where developers that are for-profit may be reluctant to go into a neighborhood early and will wait until there's momentum and then jump in. And so it is very, very vitally important that we have them. They serve as a tool for really, truly jump-starting neighborhoods that need to be rehabbed and need to not look like Pottersville since it's Christmas time. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Chris Bennett. My address is 13992 Fox Trail Drive in Holland. I have just a comment about the vote for the land bank. I'm the Director of Housing Development for Dwelling Place of Grand Rapids Nonprofit Housing Corporation. In my 5 years serving the city of Grand Rapids at Dwelling Place, I've had the good fortune to know Dave Allen and work with him to help foster affordable housing for working class households and families in the city. For the past 3 years, the Land Bank has worked with Dwelling Place on 2 major housing initiatives, the Harrison Park Apartments and Pine Avenue. In total, these developments will provide a total of 68 apartments and townhomes for low-income working families and provide high-quality housing in the West Side neighborhood. A number of these units are also made available for survivors of domestic violence and their families, connecting them to support services and education options for their children within the Grand Rapids Public Schools. The larger vision of these housing initiatives is to provide opportunity for families to see greater economic opportunity for their children through the Challenge Scholars Program. We could not have pursued these initiatives successfully without the help of the Land Bank. Their willingness to work with multiple landowners and secure the 2 sites for these important developments was essential, and their ability to obtain a grant from MDEQ to perform a much-needed environmental remediation effort on one of these sites saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in project costs. Throughout this complicated project, I have been inspired over and over again by the Kent County Land Bank's steadfast commitment to their community and stewardship of their resources. Unfortunately, the efforts made through this initiative are still just a drop in the bucket compared to what's needed in Kent County and throughout our state. Our well-documented affordable housing crisis does not and will not simply solve itself. will not be cured through notions of market forces. It requires real work, real efforts, and real leadership from our public officials. Please allow the Kent County Land Bank to continue operations. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Good morning. I'm Bethany Gingrich, and I live at 1450 Boston. I'm also the real estate development manager at Link Up, nonprofit housing corporation here in Grand Rapids. And I also just wanted to speak to the strong need for the land bank in the county. We do rehabilitation of single-family homes in neighborhoods that have a lot of distressed housing, and this has been one of the tools that helps us get properties at a lower cost. We have only done a few properties, but it has made a big difference on the blocks that those homes are located on. It doesn't just benefit the homeowners. We rehab for low-income home buyers, so it helps keep that property available to people that have the income level already living in the neighborhood. But it also generates economic activity with the contractors that work on the homes. We do lead safe practices. We do full rehab so that it's not just cosmetically fixing up the property to get it back into the market. It's really designed to try to stabilize that house so that the people who live there don't have major repairs to do in the first few years of home ownership, so it makes a big difference. Also, just from having worked in other parts of the state, the land bank is an important tool. For West Michigan not to have one, it doesn't just, it kind of reflects on the atmosphere of the environment for doing not just affordable housing development, but as Mr. Dutler was saying, being able to have a healthy housing market and to have a functioning real estate market that doesn't just benefit for-profit developers, but it works for community benefit. So we would really like you to consider those aspects when looking at the Kent County Land Bank. Thank you.
My name is Randy Charbonneau. I'm with Independence Realty. My address is 5905 Kensington Court, southwestern Granville. To talk about the land bank for just a moment. I'm a real estate agent that works with the land bank. I've handled some of their properties in the past, and I continue to help them with their current inventory. The land bank's sitting on several lots right now that are unwanted, and I'm not sure if you know about the inventory, but these properties have been offered for sale for some time, and no one really wants them. They're very unique lots. They're troubled lots. They have very unique characteristics. And the land bank has found creative solutions in order to get those properties built on and developed through their modular home process that they're currently working on with Champion Homes. There's several lots that are encumbered with misdemeanors that they can't sell to developers because of those liens, demo liens that were previously had dilapidated homes on them they had to get removed. We have a housing shortage in Grand Rapids. It's pretty drastic, and we've had situations where we've had people living in hotels just trying to find a house. The land bank is coming up with creative solutions to help solve that problem in an income area or a price range that is sorely needed in Grand Rapids. I think Dave Allen had a chance to send a memo to the committee, and I hope you guys all had a chance to read that. And it addresses some of the big problems that we're having right now in Grand Rapids. He's quite a character, Dave, and he's very innovative, and I really admire the work that he does with the land bank, and he's really been an inspiration to several land banks across the state. They look to Kent County as the gem, and to eliminate that would be a travesty, in my opinion. It's an entity.
You're at 2 minutes.
Is self-sufficient. It's one of the rare government entities that actually doesn't cost the taxpayer anything and is doing a great service for the community. I feel like this is a knee-jerk reaction of some kind. Dave said that he wasn't even aware that this was even going to be happening until like a couple of days ago. So I think that it really needs to be at least tabled so that everybody can have at least a chance to really address what is being considered here. And I thank you for your time.
Morning, Commissioners. Morning. My name's Helen Lehman, and I live at 3895 Bell Lake Drive on beautiful, muddy Radigan Lake in Cannon Township. More importantly, I'm the Executive Director of New Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit affordable housing provider in the north end of Grand Rapids. And we've been doing it for 21 years. Last night, we had an open house for our 50th home that we've done, and the new home buyer was there with her 3-year-old toddler and her mother. And I have to tell you, it wouldn't have been possible without the land bank. It was a severely deteriorated property, as most of them are. Not all of them. We've had a couple of lucky ones where we had to put less than $100,000 into them, but many of them are severely deteriorated. We have one right now that is on Travis Street that's undergoing 56 or 57 feet of new foundation work. New foundation work, 57 feet, one house. We're able to do this because of our relationship with the City of Grand Rapids and MISTA and the Land Bank. And we're able to do them, as Stephanie was describing, top to bottom, so that they become affordable housing long-term, so that they come back on the tax rolls and become productive housing for families who otherwise would not be able to afford housing. And we're proud of that. This whole agenda item caught me completely off guard. We have a long-term relationship with the Land Bank. In the interest of full disclosure, Commissioner Hennessy's on our board of directors. And last Friday, when she was supposed to be with her grandbabies in Florida, I got a phone call saying, "You're never going to believe what's on the agenda for Tuesday." So I appreciate that Carol works on her vacation, as so many of you do. Quiet title, prior to having the land bank, we bought one property through the tax foreclosure process. We're only able to buy them through, if they're vacant lots at that point. We can't buy any of the other houses because of our federal funding limitations. So without the quiet title, we're out of business for this, and that's a shame. You lose the opportunity to work with a lot of volunteers and leverage a lot of money that needs to happen. I think you need to take a long, hard look at this process. At the very least, table it, talk to us about it. I would hate to see you lose the Sparta Foundry project that's undergoing some pretty intense negotiation right now. This is more than about Grand Rapids. This is bigger than just Grand Rapids, but it's an issue that I want you to be really thoughtful about. So thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for having us today. My name is Ryan Schmidt. I live at 436 Rosewood Avenue Southeast. I'm also the VP of Real Estate Development and Management at Inner City Christian Federation. ICCF has been around in our community for over 45 years, building affordable housing and working in community development initiatives. We, too, have worked with the Kent County Land Bank Authority successfully over the last several years to help address the serious need for affordable housing in our community. I think it's really a matter of perspective that we all need to keep when we're looking at something like this, which is those of us that own our homes, especially those of us that have owned our homes for a while, are benefiting from this kind of housing market. There's no denying that, right? We have equity in our homes, but that is not true for so many Kent County residents today. This is just one resource, one tool that we can use to help those low and moderate income members of our community to have successful, stable housing for their families. Seven of the last 8 single-family homes that ICCF has renovated through a program called ADR, Acquisition, Development, and Resale, have been connected in some way to the Kent County Land Bank Authority, either a purchase from or assistance with quiet title action. That is 7 of the last 8 homes that we've been able to provide for the community have been because of, in some part, to the Kent County Land Bank Authority. I just don't want to, I don't want us to forget that it's also not a city issue alone, although ICCF works primarily in the city of Grand Rapids. We also build affordable housing out in Lowell and Cedar Springs and other communities that are further out. That is not an issue that is specific for this city. There are many Kent County residents that don't live in the city, that live further out in the county that face housing challenges. And so this tool is something that can be used across the county and really part of the toolkit that we can use to address housing instability.
You're at 2 minutes.
I just appreciate you hearing all this feedback today. I appreciate the discernment that you all will have. It feels very rushed from our perspective as well. ICCF as an organization would be very happy to participate in any conversations that the commissioners would like to have around the way the Kent County Land Bank Authority works and how we can look forward to the future. So we're an active participant with that. And we just urge you, please, not to make any abrupt decisions without more consideration. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Ken Parrish, Kent County Treasurer and Chair of the Kent County Land Bank Authority Board. I live at 1546 Spicewood Court in Lowell. Yesterday, you should have all received an email from me via Pam that really focuses on the immediate impacts of the decision, if the decision is made to shut down the land bank. It is by no means a comprehensive list. It was a very quickly thought out list, but as you could see, it is a lengthy list nonetheless. You've already heard some of the community members speak to some of the issues. There are just a couple on that list that I want to highlight for you. The first would be the loss of what could be a significant lead abatement program in the city of Grand Rapids, which would take advantage of the brownfield redevelopment opportunities that are unique to land banks. It just won't happen if the Kent County Land Bank doesn't exist. Secondly, we are working with the Right Place, our economic development partner, to try to bring a German firm to Sparta, to the old Sparta Foundry site, which was given back to the land bank by the previous owner because they're from Canada and they didn't have enough time to deal with it. So they gave it back to us, and we are working very closely. If we have to liquidate, we can't sit on that parcel. We'll have to sell it to the highest bidder, whether it's the German company or some speculator. The report that was issued would take me a lot longer than 3 minutes to give my counterpoints to many of them. But the main point is it didn't look at all that the land bank does. It looked only at the previous subcommittee report and how we were doing in meeting those recommendations.
You're at 2 minutes.
Thank you. Kent County has been about collaboration forever. Wasn't that long ago we put out a book of 100 different ways that we collaborate in our area, and the land bank is absolutely a collaboration. We have current examples right now of the Kent County Equalization Department working in other counties, working with the city of Grand Rapids on assessing. We have the sheriff who contracts with school districts for resource officers. That's all collaboration. Those aren't part of their basic mission. And finally, I just want to say that I've heard that we are competing with the private sector. Right now, we are not, because the private sector isn't touching the market we're going into. And I find it really interesting that the Convention Arena Authority right now is contemplating building a hotel on Convention Center site because the private sector can't make the numbers work. We have hotels springing up like mushrooms around town, yet another authority in this city, and with significant county involvement, is looking at building a hotel because the private sector can't make the numbers work. And if competition is really an issue, I certainly would hope that you would look to sell the golf course. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other public comment? Yep, please come up.
Good morning. I'm David A. Paul. I live in Granville, 3246 Weyburn, Southwest. I have been a general contractor in this city for 35 years, working with nonprofits like ICCF and Dwelling Place. I've also been very interested in the work of the Kent County Land Bank. I see these folks as a creative coalition that are pushing the boundaries of how we put our very difficult problems into locations for people to live. I represent a group of refugees that have been and worked with them over the last number of years, and when I think about affordable housing, I think about them being able to, in the future, be able to have home ownership. So I feel like this is a crucial time for us to continue to support the land bank in helping them find creative solutions. When you do something creative within a bureaucracy, it's not always an easy thing to do. So I'm hoping that this can be looked at and that the outcome will be either a fresh look but a continuation of dealing with the problem we have asked them to solve. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Bill Bussey, 5276 Connemara Court in Ada. And I just wanted to talk about my first experience with the land bank. We're working with them on a project in Wyoming, and this project is hampered by a huge albatross of a building, and we spent quite a bit of time with them. And as a developer, I can only go forward with projects that work. And this is a project that potentially has moderately rented, not subsidized, but moderately rent apartments, 160 of them. And this is only possible because of some of the ideas and resources that the land bank has. This property has a huge concrete block building on there that I can't afford to tear down. But we've gone through with Wyoming with this project. They're excited about it. And I just wanted to talk as a developer how impressed I am about how they make projects like this possible. And it would be a shame not to have that resource. And without them, we will not be able to do this project. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment and we will move to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Is there support? Okay, moved and supported. Any items have to be pulled? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. We'll go to item 3 on our agenda from Facilities Management. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to authorize the board or chair or designate to enter into a sublease with the Grand Rapids Bar Association for space at the downtown courthouse. The Grand Rapids Bar Association approached the county and asked that it consider leasing space to the GRBA at the downtown courthouse for purposes of providing an attorney, conference, and legal resource center. Facilities Management has determined that there is an area of 1,218 square feet on the 5th floor of the courthouse that the county can make available for this purpose. The agreement to provide space at the courthouse will be in the form of a sublease because the building is owned by the county building authority until the bonds are paid off. The initial term of the sublease will be at least 3 years with 2 optional 3-year renewals. Because of the benefit to the justice system by having the space used in this manner. The sublease cost is at $1 for each term. The Grand Rapids Bar Association will also pay a proportional amount of operating and maintenance costs based on the square footage. Because the Grand Rapids Bar Association intends to raise funds for the build-out of the lease space, the sublease contains an early termination provision that can be exercised in the event fundraising is unsuccessful. All construction expenses will be borne by the Grand Rapids Bar Association, but the project will be managed by our facilities management department. Lease arrangements will be finalized by the parties, and the sublease will be approved as performed by corporate counsel prior to signature.
Is there a motion to approve? Okay, and there's their support? Okay, moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Hennessy.
Thank you. How does this fit into our long-term plan for use of the space at the courthouse?
Could have Al Ginn, our facilities management director, come and speak to that.
Come on up, Al. Good morning.
Good morning. Our long-term plan for the courthouse, we have essentially 326,626 square feet. I think this is 16 or 12, 18. That's like, well, no, it is. It's 0.38% of our total. This small amount, I don't see impacting us for many, many years to come. So it fits in quite well, and I guess our long-range plan is to continue providing fair, equitable, all the good things about criminal justice, and this helps the lawyers prep, and it's a better thing for everyone. So we really look for this to be quite a long-term relationship with them, and again, most impactfully, it's a very small area.
Okay, can follow up.
I'm understanding it's a small area, but I mean, what other space needs do we see for ourselves as a county for that building? And will they be able to be accommodated in the near and the long term?
I guess it looks at how many years out we go. When we built out the last two courtrooms on the 6th floor, we'd be hard pressed to put another courtroom and a judicial suite in there. But while it's not accepted or even discussed with the judiciary at this point, if we ever got to a point where we had even more circuit court judges, if there was no room through the 61st District Court to either buy or lease some space from them, we might have to do timing on courtrooms, and the judiciary would have to share some courtrooms. But this 1,200 square feet wouldn't have any impact on something like that.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
What is in this space right now?
It's vacant space. It's currently been used as storage space. We've thinned out some attic stock, and we still have adequate storage space. We're not being pressed to have this. There's not a lot of extra square footage in the courthouse, so it's not like we'll be coming back to you multiple times to say, hey, a small amount here, a small amount there. We don't anticipate that, but we're also obligated to not have more than a small percentage of the building for non-100% city and county court offices. So we currently have two other leases, a small snack shop that's in there, and legal assistance center that again, it serves just like I envision this serving the criminal justice community and criminal defense community. I look at this to be an enhancement, just like a legal assistance center.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item number 4 on our agenda from the Administrator's Office, the Land Bank Authority Review. And I'd like to add that we did pass out to the board a revised action request that included one change, which would be a time frame of a 12-month withdrawal notice. So that is the one change that was added. So Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the Board of Commissioners to accept the December 2018 Kent County Land Bank Authority Review Report and direct the Kent County Treasurer by December 31st, 2018 to give the Kent County Land Bank Authority 12 months notice of withdrawal from the intergovernmental agreement between the Kent County Treasurer and the Michigan Land Bank Trust Land Bank Fast Track Authority as set forth in the Article 8 of the intergovernmental agreement. The Kent County Land Bank Authority was created in November 2009 through an intergovernmental agreement between the Michigan Land Bank Fast Track Authority and the Kent County Treasurer. The goals of the KCLBA were to efficiently acquire, hold, manage, spur economic development, or sell tax foreclosed and other properties in Kent County. In 2016, the Kent County Board of Commissioners Land Bank Review Subcommittee reviewed these KCLBA operations and made several recommendations, including another review to ascertain if the subcommittee's recommendations were implemented. In 2018, the Administrator's Office staff conducted an implementation review by interviewing numerous stakeholders. A component of the review was whether the initial KCLBA objectives had been met and if the land bank was needed, considering the improved real estate market. The attached report details the information received during this review. The Michigan Land Bank Fast Track Authority Act allows for the creation and dissolution of a county land bank authority. The Act does not limit the number of times this could occur. The county and the Kent County Treasurer could establish a new land bank if future economic conditions warrant. Based on the improved real estate market in Kent County, information received from stakeholders during the 2018 review, and the ability to reestablish a land bank should economic conditions falter in the future, the termination of the current land bank is warranted, as the KCLBA has completed its original mission as established by the Board of Commissioners in 2009.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Yes?
Should not this amendment that was handed out this morning be addressed as amending the original resolution?
Linda?
Never came to the floor.
Commissioner, by handing it out in advance of the start of the meeting, it's treated the same way we've treated other updates to action requests in the past on other matters. Because the original AR was not taken up as a business item, then it would not be an amendment. It would just be an update to the agenda done by the chair of the committee in advance of the meeting.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there support? Thank you. Moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
Well, I'll start by simply saying the change in the agenda item at 8:29 is all the evidence we need to postpone this item. And there are two very distinct issues that I think we have to discuss. First, the process of this very harsh recommendation in front of us, which is the elimination of an entity in our county. And so the process of it getting to us and how quickly we're being asked to decide it. And the second issue is the substance of the matter. And I could spend a lot of time about the substance of the matter. However, again, at 8:29, we were asked to amend the motion by the chair, who sent us an email, I don't know what time it was, because in a conversation with the city of Grand Rapids said, hey, we need a few more months to figure this stuff out. Right now, when the treasurer says there's all kinds of stuff that could happen, once we trigger this and we have to liquidate, we don't know, at least I don't know, what that triggering is going to cause. We also got an email from Denny Sturdivant when he talks about being in nonprofit housing development for 30 years. I know that to be a fact because I worked with him at the Catholic Human Development Outreach Office in 1988 on the Liz's House project, when he then went to Dwelling Place that same year to take over. So for 30 years, I know I have trusted and followed Denny's advice on so much as it relates to affordable housing and what Dwelling Place has done in our community. And that's only one example of the many people who've been able to make it with such short notice to be here today to ask us to really look at this issue, and I've heard a number of people ask us to postpone it. So, folks, we just aren't this fast of an organization. So I'll leave other things for a moment so we can all potentially have comments if we want to share them at the moment. Speaking only on the process of this matter, again, should the land bank continue or not? I think I know I need more time to get to that decision. My thought, whatever you want to call it, will be that we have to spend the right amount of time. You know, has legal staff really looked at the intergovernmental agreement? Have we looked at all the low-income housing tax credit agreements that the land bank's been part of? Do we know what unintended consequences are going to be there? And again, at 8:29 a.m. on this day, the city of Grand Rapids asked for 6 months extension. So right now, the land bank could exist until December 31st, 2019, as opposed to the original was June 30th, 2019. So they already have 6 more months. If we wait a couple of more months, we can still have the December 31st, 2019 end of the land bank, if that's the will of the commission. So I don't get the haste. Again, I am only speaking about the process at this time, not the substance of the issue. Suffice it to say, I was on that 15-month committee with a few of you looking at this issue. We've looked at the land bank a lot. There are significant issues with the land bank. I think we can spend some time in January working with the treasurer to address those, because the downside of it is we have one choice as a commission. Does the land bank exist or not? We don't have much negotiation beyond that. However, I think the treasurer hears loud and clear that there may be a majority of commissioners this day and on Thursday who would like it not to exist. That's not a bluff, that's a reality. So anyways, that's my bit for today, at least for the moment, and I look forward to your all comments on, again, I don't know if we can just focus on the process of this, but if you want to go to the substance as well, please do.
Yes, Commissioner Hennessy?
Commissioner Volkowski was very eloquent right now and expressed a lot of my own feelings. From the first moment I read this and read the 6 months, changed 60 seconds before this meeting began to 12 months. From the beginning, I thought we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There are some things that people are not excited about, directions, or perhaps have questions on the operations of the land bank, but the answer is to dismiss the whole thing. And even under this change here that we were just given, 12 months, it still calls for the Kent County Treasurer to begin, he's directed to begin the dismantling. There's just not enough time to talk about everything. It's the process here. Whenever, this wasn't a straight subcommittee report here, but our processes always call for us to have time to look at a report, to digest it, to ask conversations, to dialogue, to ask staff, what were you thinking? Why did you come to these conclusions? And instead, this is the process assures us that we can actually create and that we can maintain trust in how we work together with all 19 of us who sit at this table to make these strategic planning decisions. And I think the process here has certainly been lacking. Like I say, my reaction is we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. In terms of the impact, I mean, I have worked very hard on affordable housing, and it's been with new development. It's been home by home by home. And last night to see a mother and her child, who's 3 years old today, he was playing with the closet and where he could hide, and where he would put his clothes. This very confident, sort of shy in the 3-year-old way, but also very confident type of child who's going to have a permanent home. A mother who worked hard to make the down payment, worked on home buyer education, worked with the title company, she worked with realtors, she worked all the way through the process, and will have a permanent home. And it's a home that will be lead-free, which has been one of the goals of another one of our subcommittees, is to create housing and to enhance the housing opportunities where children are not going to be poisoned by lead. in these older homes, in these older communities in the county. I just looked at the joy there. I looked at the block. I mean, I looked at this house and I thought, all these houses on this street are going to be better off. All the other homeowners now are going to be more willing to put the money in and to invest on the block where they live. That's what, there's just so many ramifications. This is a really good snowball that builds one little element upon another to create and to keep a vibrant Grand Rapids, which is where I, am most familiar, but to take it into other areas as well, whether it be a Cedar Springs or a Sparta, Wyoming, Granville. It just takes, it creates a good synergy here, and that is what, to say, well, we can recreate it at the future, I don't know that would ever happen. I don't know how that would happen. And I will say too that, the two of the projects for the Harrison, the Challenge Scholars programs that are near Harrison Park School, I went to the groundbreaking for one and participated with the neighbors on the other, where the dwelling place asked them, what do you want to see? How do you want to see this? These are affordable housing projects that are working with community and their investment in our community as well. One thing builds on another. It needs to continue.
Okay. Commissioner Mast?
Yes, thank you. I just got a couple of questions first, I guess. We got a report that says it's the December 2018 Kent County Land Bank Authority Review Report that's attached. I don't find anywhere on here who wrote that. It speaks to the people who were part of the 2016 committee. This doesn't have any author of it. Was that you, Wayman?
County staff,
County staff?
yes,
Okay,
my office.
okay. The second thing is that I don't know whether you can help me, Linda, or not, in Commissioner Sawfield's email to us quickly this morning, as everybody else got it just a few minutes ago. One of the comments he makes is that the Michigan Land Bank Authority operates under the same statute as the Kent County Land Bank. The concerns about affordable housing and timing of services can be negotiated into an agreement between the city and the Michigan Land Bank Authority. Does that mean the city and the Michigan Land Bank would operate as a Kent County authority, or would it just be the city?
It would be primarily within the city. The Michigan Land Bank Authority has the ability under the statute to operate anywhere where there is not a county authority in place. The statute allows for the city to negotiate with them to undertake some of these same types of work, but it would come out of the Michigan Land Bank Authority as opposed to the Kent County Authority.
So nearly half of the county would be not part of that authority.
I can't speak to the terms of an agreement that hasn't been drafted yet and that we wouldn't be a party to, but the Michigan Land Bank could operate anywhere where there's not a county authority.
Yes, but it would not have as much control as we as a county commission have of it. It's not locally based. Could it do all the same things in terms of, probably the chair? Because that's what I thought. Well, probably that's a solution, because everybody seems to be so down on the land bank. And I want to, I guess, address one, a couple of comments in here from the staff's report. Two or three. One of them is, it seems to be there's mission creep, as if that's such a negative. Mission creep can be a positive. And in this case, we created the land bank back in 2010 to address a major issue with tax foreclosures and bank foreclosures. That seems to have gone away, partly because the economic climate now for housing is so much more. But unfortunately, what is good for some people is enormously disadvantageous for other people. Thus, the housing, affordable housing crisis that is in our communities, in our nation. And yes, the land bank stepped into the fray and began to concentrate on meeting the housing needs of people who can only pay $300, $400, $500 a month. That's what the land bank means when it's affordable housing. Now, there's all kinds of developers that build what they say affordable housing, but those are private developers that have to charge $1,500 a month. That's affordable to certain periods of certain segments of the society, but certainly not to 20% of our community that lives under 40% AMI. That includes a lot of veterans, that includes a lot of people with mental illness, that includes a lot of disabled people, and people that are working poor. Where are they going to get housing? Now Wayman has put in this report, one of the issues that the county's focus of that's put in his report, he wants to look at affordable housing. This is affordable housing being met by a county entity. Why are we going to throw that away? They're not costing us anything. There's no direct line item of cost on our budget. How are we as a county going to accomplish finding affordable housing if we don't use an entity that currently is in existence in our county? There is so much, there is so much going on that the land bank has helped with. I just received the notice from Michigan State Housing Development Authority. There are 4 projects in our city, in our county, that are getting funded. That is fantastic. That is kind of unheard of. 3 of them are dwelling place, and I think 1 is ICCF. They are only being funded because of the reputation that our county developers have, nonprofit developers have, and what is pointed out in just a 1-sentence paragraph in the administrator's report. It is recognized that the Kent County Land Bank is viewed by the Michigan Land Bank and other communities in the Midwest as a model that's certainly shared by the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. Why would we throw that away? Why would we throw away an entity that, because we think it's got mission creep, which we think is bad, because it does falter in its transparency, it doesn't do what we want it to do in terms of reports, but let's correct that. Don't just throw this whole thing out, as Mr. Hennessy said, throw the baby out with the bathwater. That is just beyond my comprehension. I've dealt with affordable housing my whole career, starting at Pine Rest and then with Genesis. There are very, very poor people that are not having their housing needs met in our community. This is a way that we can do this immediately. If we take this motion and pass it, the bank is going to have to close up shop. And whether it happens in 6 months, whether it happens immediately, whether it happens in 12 months, they're going to have to back away. All of our efforts as a community to try to solve affordable housing is going to go away. I can't imagine the county coming up with any direct money itself when Wayman says he's going to do some affordable housing. I would suggest that there's other needs that the land bank can meet that is currently not being met. One of them, the lead task force recommendations. We've given a little bit of money to our public health department to analyze this situation, but there is no way, I know, no way that our county is going to come up with the money that's going to be necessary to solve some of the lead-based issues in our housing in the community. Give that task to the land bank. Give it an extra mission, and I am sure they would produce without any cost to our county. There was a recent study done of the economic development positives of the land bank. We're getting $1.77 for every dollar that is cost the land bank is costing us. Why wouldn't we keep that going? Just because there's mission creep, just because we don't like the executive director, just because our AD executive director is so spontaneous sometimes, he doesn't follow rules. Let's address that, not throw this whole thing out. That's my comments. I will be voting no, definitely no.
Okay. Anyone else? Commissioner Milton.
Thank you, Chair. I think so much has been said. I'm actually going to focus more on a question that came to me over the weekend. First of all, I do need to say I was totally taken aback when I saw this on the agenda. My last understanding, and again, perhaps I'm not totally paying attention to everything, but my last understanding was that last year we decided to table this and revisit a review in 2020 of the land bank. And we all voted on that and said that that made sense. So I'm not totally understanding why this is coming to us one meeting before our last meeting of the year of 2018. I don't understand the emergency part of this. Having said that, my question and then comment, if I may, is how much did it cost originally to start up the land bank in 2009? Are we being short-sighted in that we end the land bank, and heaven forbid, I hope it doesn't happen, but in another year or 2 years, 3 years, we need another land bank? What was the cost to start it up? Because right now, there is no cost to the county to keep the land bank going. So are we going to be short-sighted in getting rid of something that, again, as Commissioner Mass said, maybe needs some tweaks, but is already there, and in 3 years, we're going to have to find a way to work with housing again and have a startup amount. I don't have that written anywhere. I couldn't find that. In all of the information that I looked at over the weekend, I found nothing that told me how much it cost to put it together in 2009. Just listening to the persons who took time this morning in such a short time, I heard words such as link up, saying that there's a strong need for the land bank to help lower income families. Is this a knee-jerk reaction? I heard a person from Champion Homes talk about creative solutions, in fact, that the land bank has come up with. I heard Ryan Schmidt from ICCF, who I have great respect for, that they have worked with the land bank authorities. Someone talked about working with the Right Place and moving this out to Sparta. So this is not just a local into Grand Rapids. This is Kent County at our best. And sometimes I find that Kent County and the city of Grand Rapids get kind of wrapped up, and we not forget, but not always do I view the Sparta, Cedar Springs, Lowell. 7 of the last 8 homes have been connected with land bank. That's by, again, Creative Coalition. We've had a developer, the new development, 50 homes, 50th home was just made through the land bank. That it doesn't seem to make sense that the largest county in West Michigan would not have a land bank. A realtor who was caught by surprise, for Pete's sake. These are all terms. Kent County has always been about coalition, someone said. I believe that we are about coalition, and I cannot be about ending something when I have had very little, if any, time to digest what it is and why we are ending this so quickly. So I agree with Harold Mast. My vote will be no today. And it's not that I am saying that I think the land bank is great or not great. It's because we've not taken time to process this at all. And as far as mission creep, I looked it up. I had to learn more about it. The best I could come up with is our sheriff's department. They're supposedly in the business, if you will, if you really look at it narrowly, to arrest and take people to jail who do not belong out on the streets. And I'm sorry, I know that I am really narrowing down that. But what they have done over the years is expand that. If that's mission creep, then I want part of that, because they've expanded it in a very positive way. They reach the community. They go out into the community. They teach. They educate. They don't just do what their little narrow box said. And in fact, have we even given the land bank a chance? I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know enough about this. So my vote will be no, because I cannot, I can't support something that we have not talked about. We have not discussed, certainly not since I have been on the board. And I know that there is a concern for persons who deal with modular homes. Again, I'm just going to remind everyone, there is one in my former neighborhood. I'll even give you the street that it's on. I'll give you a period of a number of addresses, and I challenge you to go and find which home is the modular home, because there is no way that anyone who did not know would know which was modular and which was built from bottom up. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to refer to page 6 of the report. If I can ask staff a few questions. It said the average tax for closed units was 69 units per year. And of that, how many did the land bank purchase?
Matthew could come up.
So, to your question about the number that have been purchased by the land bank, there's been a policy change by the land bank. In the initial report from, I think it was 2013, local units can take properties off of the tax foreclosure sale and then provide those to the land bank as a right of first refusal that they have under state law. So if you look at the chart, starting in 2010, 11, and you see like purchased by land bank, those local units take those off the tax foreclosure sale.
So we initiated this, as I recall, because I think there was 300 homes in Kent County, there was 6,000 in Wayne County, and I don't know how many in Genesee County, but the 300 homes that were foreclosed during the Great Recession, that we felt there was a need to have a vehicle, and there was 24 homes bought by the land bank at that time. And then there was a policy change where the locals could grab this and not go through the land, go and just dump them in the land bank without going to the tax sale. Is that?
Yeah, that was when the city and the county and the land bank were sued, but go ahead.
Yeah, the report that was issued in 2013, as a result of that report, the city of Grand Rapids, then it's my understanding, prior to them being turned over to the tax foreclosure sale, partnered with the land bank as they're able to legally, and bought those, paid the taxes and transferred them to the land bank for work.
So I guess how many homes were transferred from the city of Grand Rapids in the last 3 years?
I don't have those specific numbers right off the top of my head. There's been fewer of them, but the practice of...
Is it less than 50?
This year, I believe, in July, they identified 36 homes that they intended to provide to the land bank, who will then quiet title and then provide back to the city of Grand Rapids for repurposing with nonprofit developers and others. And so the change would be the title, clearing the title for those properties.
I guess when it comes to, government programs like this, it's hard to admit that it's been highly successful. I'm taking a little bit different tact here. I think the land bank has served its purpose. It's been very successful. And perhaps if it's run its course and we're getting less and less homes, it may be the time to end it as it exists today. But that doesn't stop. With this action today, I got a question right to Wayman. This doesn't stop the ability of you to meet with the treasurer
No, it does
on
not.
an ongoing negotiation,
No.
right, over the next year.
No. It does not. In fact, I did meet with the treasurer a week ago, or last week, about that. We talked about that. And my hope would be that, as you made your points today, that the treasurer and others would be willing to sit down and reconstruct how maybe, if the land bank is needed, it could be reinstituted in a way that fits the wishes of the board. That could happen. It's just a matter of whether or not the county treasurer and the board would want to go down that path again.
So what you're saying, this could be reseated in a different, with a
Could be.
different mission?
Could be.
Could be. I'm just saying. You're not closing the door on negotiation with the treasurer, right?
No, and the point of clarity is this, is that the board's intent is not to undermine the work that the city of Grand Rapids is attempting to do to deal with these issues around housing, stock, and affordability. The County Board of Commissioners simply established the land bank with the help of the treasurer to deal with blighted properties in the community. It did not intend for it to move to a different model, whereas now they are removing properties and are doing redevelopment. They're dealing with affordable housing as opposed to blighted properties, which is what the intent was. Now, my conversation yesterday with the city manager and the city from Grand Rapids and the mayor, we talked about how the county could work with them to ease the process of the unintended consequences of all of the arrangements, all of the agreements that they have established. We don't want, as someone mentioned, to throw the baby out with the bathwater and undermine the good work that the land bank has done. That is not the intent. The intent is to deal with, first of all, the 2016 report that was issued relative to what the board wanted to see the land bank do. There has not been a willingness of the land bank to reconstruct itself to align with the board's purpose, intended purpose. And that's where we're at. And let me just say one more thing. Back this summer, when the land bank made the agreement with the city and became the Innov Lab, there was no discussion with the County Board of Commissioners at that time about it. There was no contact from the city of Grand Rapids about that either. So it didn't start a week or two ago. This started back in 2016, where you all made your points clear about what your intent was for the land bank. We were sued. The city was sued. The land bank was sued about issues that were important to other stakeholders in the community, the business community. We were sued, and then we said, okay, let's re-script this to allow the cities who wanted to work with the land bank to continue down that path. And that's what was allowed since 2013. And here we are today. What's happened is that the land bank has moved further down the road off the script, where they're working outside of the county and introducing other models that didn't align with the intended purposes of the county. There's never been an entree into our offices with the county commission about changing the mission, changing the scope, changing the purpose. There's not been that opportunity for us to sit down since 2016 with them. And then now, people are wondering why the county is moving forward with this recommendation. Well, it started in 2016. And I'm not here to say that we don't understand process. We do understand process. But with the information that we have been told, with the report that was written, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear and open-ended. If you look at the comparison on page, we go back to page 8, beginning at page 8, and you do the comparisons with the chart that's here, that we've highlighted in red, it shows that the land bank had not dealt with the issues that the subcommittee in 2016 intended for it to deal with. That's the concern. My hope would be that the treasurer and the land bank would now be willing to come back to the county as we move down the path and do what the board would ask that the treasurer do, to figure out how we could move this back to center, where there is a mutual agreement, not a lopsided one, not predicated on what just one stakeholder in the community intends to do, but it's the Board of Commissioners who's sitting at the table to define how this partnership, how this collaboration goes forward. That's how we do this. I was perturbed with the comments made about the county's collaboration, the partnerships, and so forth. We work with the Community Foundation. I was also not pleased with the comment made about the fact that we do not get affordable housing. We have affordable housing programs happening today with our Community Action Agency. So I will end there. I would just say to you that we're not here to upend the good work that the Land Bank has done. We appreciate the work that the county treasurer has done. Our board member, Stan Ponstein, on the Land Bank. It is not a slight against any of the good work that's been done. It's simply saying, let's reset this and put it back in the position that it needed to be. In addition to the fact that right now, the conditions in our community are different than they were in 2009.
We're not in the same place as.
No, it's not. And, I took the time to go back and review articles from MyBiz, and I'll leave this with you. The point here is that it's pretty clear that the intent of the Land Bank was to re-script itself without going through the front door of the County Board of Commissioners to say, how can we work with you to deal with affordable housing? No one did that. No one contacted us at all. And it's pretty clear, this statement here. Let me just read this one statement, and I'll get you copies of this. And these articles are also on your table today so that you can read them for yourself. But MyBiz states back when this happened, in 2013, the city had 162 foreclosures, which fell to 19 so far this year. According to a city memo that notes another 17 properties could be foreclosed on yet by the end of the year. And here's the quote. It's feasible and realistic for the city to take advantage of the resources that the Land Bank can offer, the services it can offer like quieting titles and working directly with the nonprofits. This is one of the staff members quoted saying that, adding that the Land Bank has always been responsible for making it possible properties available to nonprofit housing. That's going to and here's another quote from Mr. Allen, stating that it's going to provide a little bit more efficient interaction between the cities and the nonprofits. And here's the point that really I think is the key to this for me. And this is another quote in another article. As the economic expansion continues locally, foreclosed properties have been in short supply in Kent County. This is from David Allen. The reason for our existence is what's going on in the economy. Real estate is a key part of that. Land banks were enabled in the state for economic development. Were enabled. Well, you're a governing body. This board is a governing body. You get to decide whether or not an institution, whether it's the Land Bank, or whether it's the Sports Commission, or whether it's any other entity that's connected to the county, will be allowed to do things to improve the economy, to improve housing affordability. All of those things you get the opportunity to decide. All right? You weren't given the opportunity to decide that. It's what's happened here. And that's where the chair is coming from. You weren't given the opportunity to decide that. My hope would be that the county board and staff would work with the Land Bank and other partners in the community to deal with affordable housing. And that's what we're gearing up to do. There are other partners, other stakeholders in the community beyond those that are seated here that have issues with the Land Bank. They didn't come and they didn't voice a concern. They voiced them back in 2013. And those are the partners we will need to deal with affordable housing in this county. It has to be a team effort. We can't We can't allow one institution to ignore the reality that there are other players in the community that we will need to work with collectively to solve this problem. And I believe we have the talent and the ability to do that. We have done it in many other occasions in my 14 years here with the county. So that's what I wanted to share. I'm sorry to go
May I
on.
have a
It's all right.
follow-up?
Yes, you may follow up, Commissioner Morgan.
I guess I'm going to try and say this as tactfully as I can. I don't have the same ability as some of my colleagues, but when we first looked at this program, and where we are now, I'm saying, great job, well done. A lot of respect for the treasurer for taking this on. I think for its time, it was probably the right program. Now, we're in a totally different place, and I guess I would really encourage from this county commission seat, or commissioner's seat, that Wayman and the treasurer get together, and we probably open up a new chapter on some of these issues. But I'm not going to tell you I'm going to vote on that until the roll is called, but that's my comments today. So.
Commissioner Melton, you have an additional comment?
I do, so my question then is, again, when we met and talked about this last year, we said we would review it again in 2020. Why the hurry to end it today, or Thursday, quite frankly, when in fact we said we would review it in 2020? If we have concerns, if we have areas that we would like to see more transparency, if we would like to see it going in some better or new directions, even more than what we have heard this morning from so many persons in our county, let's do that, and in 2020, as we said last year, let's review it and see where they're coming from. Let's look into it. Because, again, the question remains, how much did it cost in 2009 to put the land bank back together? And again, heaven forbid we would need a land bank in a few years, and we're putting it together. Are we saying to people, and I don't know this, that's the problem, this is all so fast. Are we saying to those persons waiting for a house, well, wait for your house a little bit, we're trying to put the land bank back together again so that it can help you? I don't know. All those things are unknown, so why the need to do this in 2 days as opposed to tabling this resolution, looking into this, sitting down at the table? We had several of our business community county members who said, we would like to work with you, we would like to learn more, we would like to collaborate, and let's see if we can't make this more viable. We may come up with a decision we can't. But does it have to be decided by Thursday? Is there, I guess I haven't heard a reason as to why it has to be done by Thursday. Why can't it be done in January or February, which would still give the land bank maybe not quite a full year, but it would give them 8-9 months to deal with what needed to be done if we felt as a commission, with good information and a chance to talk with each other, that it in fact doesn't need to be.
Well, let me answer the question about why now. The board has the information until, this board that's seated now has the information, has the history related to this issue. That's the chair's feeling, that's his prompting to say, let's deal with this now versus waiting until some other time when we don't have the history, the experience around this issue. That's why it's being moved now, between now and the next board meeting. Matthew, can you answer the question about the...
So in terms of the reason for the review now, Commissioner Melton, if you look at the chart at the end of this with the recommendations that were provided, you're correct, a future review was asked for in 3 years in 2020.
Right.
However, due to the concerns that manifested itself prior to that, the review was requested now. And if you go to the timeline that was established by the KCLBA, and you look at on page 7, the mission, vision, values. In 2013, there was a mission statement, vision statement, value statement. The report was done in 16, and 17 it was adopted early in 17. And then there was a strategic planning process conducted that significantly altered the mission, vision, and values of the land bank. Moreover, the recommendations, the 8 recommendations that were made by the subcommittee report, and when we tried to go through and do a review of those, and we found that how many of them were not being implemented, and they had done a strategic plan, that was the reason.
So Matthew, also related to the cost to create the land bank, we can get you that information as well. We don't have that intel, but we will get that for you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Voorhees?
Thank you, Chair Jones. I came in today with two words on my form here. One is called auction. I believe we're violating our own rules regarding transfer of property without a proper appraisal or auction. And I know that's been brought up over the years. We brought it up hard, but we see no changes, just no changes at all. The other is creep. I want to believe when I was in the legislature, we dealt with this issue, and it was on properties that are just in disarray. What's the word I'm looking for? Blight. Blight, that was the word. Blight was the word used why we had formed a land bank, so we could move these properties. The creep here is unbelievable. I got nothing against modular homes, but I sure don't think a government entity should be the salesperson. They should not be the ones out there doing it. When somebody goes to buy something, oh, this is approved by the Kent County Land Bank. Oh, if the county's behind it, it's got to be good. I don't want them using our county name for their own advancement. And so I think the time is to draw it to an end. And as it says in our resolution, we can reform it in some other time, but then put in there, in the agreement, the things that we know for the sake of Kent County, that the finances, that the transfer of property is done in a manner that is more open to the public, and so many of these things I felt of the land bank were done in the back room, and we have no idea just what's all happened with it. Let's stop it. Let's give it a breather, and if we need and if we desire to establish one again, we can do it. My vote will be yes on this resolution.
Commissioner Antor?
Thank you, Chair. I was on this board way back in the day when the land bank was created, and I remember we had a lot of due diligence that went into that. And one of the biggest concerns at that time was other land banks who have lost their way, and due to mission creep primarily. On the east side of the state, it's notorious, and I don't know how those land banks were formed, but we looked at those, and we were given a promise that we weren't going to be like those other entities over there on the east end of the state. We were going to stay in our lane and do the things that we all agreed to. And, I took a leap of faith. I think that was the most controversial thing I've ever voted on because of pressure from outside influences, even more so than PDR if that's possible. But to this day, I still get questions about the land bank. And I don't think there was any ambiguity in the discussions on what the land bank was going to do. It was crystal clear to me, and I know it was crystal clear to David Allen at that time, that we weren't going to be like these other land banks. We're going to stay in our lane and continue to do the work that we approved at that time. And I think that trust has been breached. It's been well documented here that we really weren't kept in the loop on some of this stuff, and they are outside their lane. And to Ken Parrish's point about, I agree with some of the things Ken said. I think the golf course is a great example. I think we ought to sell the golf course. I don't think we should own the golf course. We should be the golf course business. I've been saying that for years. I've always wondered why we're doing that. But anyhow, the land bank has done some great things at the beginning. They did some stuff in Sparta that was great. But they lost their way, as far as I'm concerned. And To get back to the original intent, I'd be all for it, but we're talking about trust, and I think the trust has been broken, breached, and in order to support it, I can't without that trust, and that's where I'm at. So I'd like to go back and reevaluate and pick up the things that they did well within the scope, and also discuss the things that went awry. So I'm looking forward to that discussion, and I'm hoping, and to Wayman, you know, I have great trust in you. Not too long ago, I have a lot of faith in what you're doing, and I trust your recommendation on this, so I'll be voting yes. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Brady?
Thank you, Chair. I, just wanted to agree with my colleagues who have mentioned, mission creep, and also, I think there's been a lack of transparency here. So I would agree it would be a great opportunity to, end the land bank now, and in the future, come up with our plan and design it and come to terms with the treasurer and, somebody to help with the land bank. I think this is a good opportunity to take a step back. Our housing market has been doing fine. We don't have a lot of houses that are in disrepair like there once was, especially compared to other counties. So I think it's a good time to step back and to look at ways which we can evaluate this and, invent it down the road.
Commissioner Mast?
Well, I just want to, so what does it mean that this motion says 12 months instead of immediate, I think, because the previous one we got was more like immediate. What does that mean? And I know the treasurer sent us an email. There was a lot of things happening that would happen. Does this postpone some of these, or will you have to start?
We're going to have Linda address those questions. Commissioner Mast?
What could we have treasurer?
Because we're going to have Linda, our counsel, address those, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
The statute that, under which the land bank was originally established requires a minimum of 6 months' notice to the actual authority by the treasurer of the intent to withdraw. So after hearing the concerns about timing and about the length of time necessary to do a smooth transition, the idea of a 12-month time frame as opposed to a 6-month time frame was drafted up. So the only thing that the statute requires is a minimum of 6 months' time for the notice to go out to withdraw from the intergovernmental agreement under which the land bank is established.
But we all received an email from treasurer of all the actions that he's going to have to take. So does that mean, I know we got a letter from Mr. Sturdivant, that basically there's a lot of items that the land bank is doing for his project that if this goes through, he won't be able to do. I mean, I guess I want to say, is that really true?
I don't believe that we will upend any of what Denny Sturdivant communicated in his email. We will research that, know for sure, but the city of Grand Rapids and the county are meeting. We met yesterday a couple of times. Eric DeLong is here from the city of Grand Rapids. He has a memo that I will share with you from the city related to how we can work together to do this. They asked for the additional 6 months, and based on that, my confidence is that they can accomplish their mission as long as they are given more time.
What about the Sparta facility?
I'm not, it would be in the same scenario. And if not, I would hope that the board would, if we need more time, if it's needed, to unwind that, to make sure that there are no unintended consequences. I hope that the board would be advised of that and then make a motion to extend it further. But the whole point here is that we don't want to see any of the good work that the land bank has created with these partnerships go away. It's simply, we want to rewrite the agreement so that your needs are met as well as what they're intending to do now.
Commissioner Morgan?
Just a question for our council. So this agreement, if it gets manifested or changed, the statute allows for those changes within that agreement?
In fact, there have been examples of other intergovernmental agreements. The Detroit City Land Bank, for example, is on its second amended intergovernmental agreement. So there's nothing in the statute that precludes an amendment, no.
That's what I want to ask about.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Well, then the question is why end one, full stop, the motion today, or the request for action is full stop, end the land bank, and maybe start it in the future. I mean, the example, but the very first public comment today was a for-profit business person in the title industry, for-profit. And I agree with everything that Wayman said about the issues that are before us and what mainly has been said as well. Or I agree mainly with what has been said for the folks who either have said they're going to vote yes or hint at a yes. The issues, there are significant issues with the land bank. That I am not disagreeing with. However, this process that we don't know, that there are critical things allegedly from one business person who was here today, allegedly that the land bank is still needed for. And one thing that I know, the market hates uncertainty. And if this passes on Thursday, then the land bank is a true lame duck. Who wants to do business other than to disband itself? The land bank can't get into deals and do things. Talk about the trust of being in existence. So we do, Commissioner Morgan, end things here. We've ended the department called the airport. And we ended that and we created an authority. However, those two boards existed at the same time for a number of months. Now, the land bank is way tinier than the airport. So we took years and we spent a lot, or the airport spent a lot of its money with consultants to make sure all the proverbial I's were dotted and T's were crossed. Plenty of attorneys looked at that agreement. I don't know how many attorneys have looked at the intergovernmental agreement. What are those options that we really have to amend the current agreement, to rein in the land bank? At least for this conversation, I will, for today's, again, that we need to look at how do we rein in the land bank? And if that is the case, to end it, do we have then the opportunity to really look to where it needs to go? So therefore, when we're done, before we have the vote on this motion, I would like to make a separate one, Chair, just to give you that before we move forward to that. But to say we need to spend that time. Again, I agree with Commissioner Morgan that we need to get the administrator and the treasurer in a room and really figure out what are these clear parameters, because what we said in 16 hasn't been followed at this opportunity, or at least from this report. But as the treasurer said in his 3 minutes, there's other things that weren't in the report. And are there other things that should be said, kind of point, counterpoint? So I'm still back to the point of this is way too fast. And to end something today, is there mission creep? Likely. You know, unintended consequences? Likely. But what are those unintended consequences today? Funny statistic, 1 year, 10 days ago, I started conversations with one state bureaucracy on a pilot that was going to get started in 3 months. 1 year, 10 days forward, it still isn't started because that fast state bureaucracy was going to be nimble and they were going to have it up in 90 days. And right now we think the state land bank is going to get stuff done fast in the city of Grand Rapids. We don't need to take a poll in this room if we trust that bureaucracy in Lansing. That doesn't mean the land bank in Kent County as it exists today needs to continue in its current state. All I'm saying is the baby does not need to be tossed out. We need to determine what's the baby and what's the bathwater. It's not as easy as when we had our children.
Hey, Commissioner Hennessy?
Along the same lines, I mean, I'm hearing two messages. We have a message here on the resolution to completely dismantle, beginning December 31st, to begin the process of dismantling the Land Bank Authority with no understanding really of what the ramifications of all that will be and who else will be affected, including my favorite volunteer opportunity, new development. And then we're also hearing, well, we can begin conversations. So I'm not sure you know, I've got a resolution that says, this is the beginning of the end, right here. And then I'm getting a mixed message here. And so I don't care for this resolution. I think the conversation today has been very productive. I appreciate at least having some understanding of where our administrator has come in making this recommendation, because the process has been lacking. And that does not create trust. It does not create a good feeling between ourselves, not to have these conversations. That is what, you know, the 12 years I've been here, we've had that process of conversation and talking. And, you know, some of us end up happy, some of us end up unhappy. But this short notice and extremely short notice for even a modification on the motion, it does not create, it does not maintain the trust and the working relationships that I really have valued over the 12 years. I haven't always been happy. I remember I was coming on board when this fellow next to me was the chair, and I wasn't always happy with the way it was done, but there was a process.
She used to yell at me a lot.
I still do. But there was a process, and there was an acceptance of the process, and that's really what and the process involves a lot of conversation and a lot of input. And here we're even being, you know, question being directed to the treasurer and being told legal counsel will take care of it. I just feel like the avenues for the conversation are too narrow right now, and the time limit has been too short.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yeah, just a comment. Thanks for those comments, Carol. I appreciate it. Just because I'm encouraging a dialogue between the treasurer and our executive doesn't mean it's around the parameters of a land bank. It could be something totally different that we're not even looking at. So I'm not saying that we're going to, you know, when I'm trying to recommend a dialogue and getting together with the treasurer, I'm saying that out of respect for the treasurer and respect for Wayman. But there may be an avenue that can come along that's not within the parameters of the land bank. So I think that the negotiations that go on within that 12 months can be really productive.
Commissioner Melton?
Thank you. And just because I know fiscal responsibility is one of our main goals, again, we are being asked to make a vote today to end something that maybe, though, we will need again, without the information of how much will that cost to bring this back up again, if in fact we need it again in 3-4 years. And I can't make that decision until I know how much it cost to put this together in 2009, to find all of the persons, to pay them, to get this all organized. I can't make that decision. I am asked by my constituents to be fiscally responsible with their monies. And I cannot be fiscally responsible with anyone's money when I have no idea what the cost is. And I just think we are doing this too fast. Why can we not do this in January? Table it until January.
Commissioner Antor?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this urgency. It's, you know, seems like urgency, but wasn't this report released in 2016? So in my mind, that's 2 years, depending on what month. And there didn't seem to be any urgency on behalf of the land bank to address these issues, and knowing that these were critical issues right from the outset.
Right.
This is exactly what we didn't want to see. This report released the information, but there wasn't any type of conversations from them coming to us, say, here's what we're going to do to correct it. So I don't think this is just coming from out of the blue. This has been out there for quite some time. And again, it's just a matter of, this was so, we were so adamant about the fact we did not want to get out of our lane with this land bank. We didn't want to be like the other land banks across the state. And if you read the paper, especially Detroit Free Press, about the land banks over there on the east side of the state, it's become a monster, and they can't get out from under it. So again, I don't look at this as something that came last minute. Again, I'll be supporting it. Hopefully, I'd love to see Wayman and Ken and get together. There's some other issues. PDR, that's something that's been really big, something I've supported ever since I've been here, but I've come to the understanding that that wasn't done the right way. And I know there's a process, and I don't know if it'll ever pass. I don't know if we'll ever see, but I know now what the process is, and it's a lot bigger than just this board. We got to go outside of this, and so this has gotten a little bit too narrow, the decision-making, and I think it's, again, yeah, I'm a vote yes, and hopefully we can rebuild it and eliminate stuff that we didn't like.
Thank you. Dave Bukowski, you mentioned you had a motion you wanted to make.
I do, because,
Would you like to make it?
I would like to make the motion because, just as a couple of quick notes, the motion will not be to table because the tabling motion would take it to our January 3rd meeting. I'm looking at the calendar only because the vagaries of a solar calendar and the festival of light, which the pagans will be celebrating on Friday, bring our Christian holidays at this time. That being said, a tabling would get us to the 3rd of January, and no one wants to read this next week. Then our next meeting of finance would be the 15th of January, which still doesn't give us much time. And again, vagaries of calendar, the 3rd Tuesday's the 15th. So, in a moment, I would like to make a motion to postpone this decision until the meeting of February the 5th. Because that is a date certain. It's not unended. I had my conversation with the chair, and his comment was, how much more do we have to look at this? I think we owe it to ourselves and our partners the month of January. And to really look at what are those changes that need to happen? What can we do without ending it? Can we amend it to create another, to really rein in the land bank? I hear that loud and clear. There are issues that were there. So the issue that there's plenty of knowledge on this, that it will be on this commission on January the 3rd. So we don't have to worry about us relearning it. February 5 is plenty of time. I think if we pass this today, the treasurer and the administrator are almost going to be handcuffed in their conversations to go forward, because it's going to be, it's ending, as opposed to, is ending really the best way forward? Again, I totally agree that we need to look at this, and it's serious. It was actually May of 17 that the recommendations were released, not 16. That's when we started the process. So we have looked at this a lot. So all of this build up to simply say that my motion is to postpone this action request until the Finance Committee meeting of Tuesday, February the 5th at 8:30 a.m.
Is there a second?
I'm so moved.
All right. Moved and seconded, and a motion to postpone is debatable. So is there any comment on the motion to postpone?
On the actual motion, not on the underlying question.
Correct. So this is comments, questions, and discussion on postponing. Yes, Commissioner Mast.
I won't be here February 5.
Okay,
That's fine. But I'll be voting for the motion.
okay.
So a yes vote.
Yep, all those, a yes vote will be to postpone it. So,
Roll call.
and we can do a roll call vote. So a yes would be to postpone it, a no would be to not postpone. Okay? Yes, Commissioner Bukowski?
And again, as a point of calendar, the underlying motion is that the land bank would end on December 31st, 2019. And it's required a 6-month notice. So this postponement does not potentially end or extend that end date of December 31st, 2019. They still would have 10.5 months notice for that end date. And of course, conversations with the administrator and the treasurer in January would let people know really where we're going or not, likely to the full commission on February 14th. So again, this isn't a delay tactic. I'm pretty certain if the votes aren't going to change come January 3rd. So again, this is not any of that. This is seriously about us really looking at, can we maintain some of the things we believe the land bank still has to do in 2019 and to rein it in or not? And we can have that conversation throughout January and then look at that on February 5 as a finance committee.
A yes vote is to postpone, a no vote is not to postpone. We'll do roll call. Pam?
Commissioner Antor,
No?
Commissioner Breve,
No.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Hennessy,
Yes.
Commissioner Mass,
Yes.
Commissioner Melton,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
No.
Commissioner Voorhees,
No.
Chair Jones.
No. So we will not be postponing the vote. So with that being said, let's take our vote on the motion that was originally made.
Quick question.
Sure.
And again, this may sound more whatever than it is intended to, because we trusted all kinds of attorneys when we signed the bonds across the street, and that is a gift that keeps on giving, because we can't call them, and they're backloaded, and we thought it was all a good deal. So if there are significant financial ramifications for nonprofit partners with the end of the land bank, does the county backstopping that if they lose something because of this, or do these deals just fall through?
It's the responsibility of the Land Bank Authority. They have the responsibility.
But
They
we
have-
are ending them because we end them, so the county is not backing financially if there are some significant financial ramifications that the land bank did not intend to have. I mean, again, in their due diligence, they have enough resources for their pieces, but again, back to the email from Denny Sturdivant, where and this is a total if conjecture, I have no idea this is true, but if the Harrison Park deal fell through for the lack of a few $100,000, is the county gonna fill that if somehow something's lost? Or are we just saying, oh, we're sorry, dwelling place?
Under the Articles of Incorporation of the Land Bank, all of the land bank's assets come back to the county. So therefore, whether it's the
And
land.
its liabilities?
What I'm saying is, any asset the land bank would have used to carry that deal forward would now be within the county, because those
Okay.
assets would come back to the county.
All right.
So at that point, the assets include the stream of revenue as well as the properties that are held and everything else.
Well, it doesn't, well, okay, thank you.
All right, let's do a roll call vote. Pam?
What's, this one?
This is on the original motion.
Okay.
Commissioner Antor,
Yes?
Commissioner Breve,
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski,
No.
Commissioner Hennessy,
No.
Commissioner Mass,
No.
Commissioner Melton,
No.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Voorhees,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes. The motion passes. All right, we will go on to our next item on the agenda, which is from the Parks Department. Item number 5. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the board to adopt the Parks Department's proposed 2019-2023 Parks, Recreation, and Natural Areas Master Plan. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources requires a completed Parks and Recreation Master Plan as part of the criteria for grant funding from Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund and other DNR grant programs. The Park Department has developed and maintained parks and recreation master plans, with the most recent one being approved in 2014. The Parks Department has completed and updated the 5-year master plan covering the years 2019 through 2023, and as part of that update process, the Parks Department conducted a target needs assessment to Kent County households, as well as a universal online survey. Further, a Board of Commissioners work session was held in October 2018 to seek input. Last, a 30-day public review period of the draft master plan was conducted, which included broad outreach to Kent County and Parks Department traditional and social media channels. A public hearing on the master plan is scheduled for Thursday, December 20th, 2018, at the Board of Commissioners meeting. The Purpose of the plan is to provide a logical framework for decisions affecting the park and trails facilities, as well as open spaces and natural areas. Public input supporting continuation and strengthening of programs focused on land and acquisition and parks development and improvement. The plan is designed to serve as an effective tool to help maintain and improve an already successful park and trail system and enable the department to identify and meet changing patterns of need with flexibility. Implementation of any programs or activities requiring significant new funding would be at the discretion of the Board of Commissioners on a case-by-case or as part of the county's regular budgeting process.
Is there a motion to approve? Is there support? Moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that we have some acquisition language in this plan. It did mention facilities, and I just, does that include our parks office?
Yes. Yes. You want to speak to
Because,
that?
One of the things we've been working on, Al Jano and I have already started looking at opportunities to address that, and with Wayman's leadership, of course. And so, yeah, that would be on the agenda.
Because that sits kind of at the gateway to Millennium Park somehow. I mean, you see it from the freeway and stuff, and from my perspective, it's not exactly what I think should be representing our parks.
Agreed.
And that
Yeah, we're going to make that a priority in 2019 to make sure that gets back in front of the board, some ideas about how to move that forward.
I was happy to see acquisition in here, and I'm happy to see facilities, so. Yeah, with the understanding that most of our county parks are passive parks, right?
Most of
A
them are,
majority of
correct.
them, with the Wabases perhaps not, and the Millennium Park perhaps not, but a majority of our parks, Gordon Park, which is the oldest county park, are more passive parks and for trails and stuff like that, with that understanding.
Yeah, we do have a one change too, that we do talk about recreational opportunities and partnering with the Sports Commission for discussion.
Great.
So we are pivoting that way, and we're looking also at dog parks and the opportunity for people to enjoy their dog running freely as well.
Okay, yes, Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Chair Jones. I also looking forward to seeing the parks and the John Ball Zoo. You know, a lot of what we do at the zoo is land conservation and enhancement, and see those working together. It's a plus for Kent County residents, so thank you for your work.
Yes, Commissioner Antor.
I mentioned the golf course earlier, and I know that falls under the preview of the Parks Department, and was serious when I said I think we need to take a look at that, because we are competing with other golf courses. And I'm a golfer, and I hear it quite often, hey, what's the deal? How come you guys, and, yeah, I think we need to have a subcommittee or something to take a look at that and just do a cost-benefit analysis. I think it's a break-even type of thing. I don't know, it doesn't seem like they're making any money, but they're not losing money, so why are we in the golf course business? We could use the revenue from the sale of that to plug in for other parks projects that there isn't any grant money for, and use it as a rainy day fund or whatever, earmarked maybe for parks. I don't know, but I think it needs to be discussed. I think,
We'll put
like
that on
the
the
zoo.
agenda for discussion this year.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Breve.
Thank you, Chair. I recently had the opportunity to sit in one of the community conversations that was held about our county master plan. And one of the things I heard over and over again was how many great parks we have. And I think one of the things that was also mentioned was about, oh, there's that many parks, or what is that park about? Can you go snowshoeing there? Can you go skiing? And I think there's a section here about communications, and I really like to see the part about working on improving the effectiveness. I think getting more marketing out and having people understand which park is a county park and what options are available, and more collaboration maybe with local entities is a good thing. So lots of good things in this report. Thank you.
Commissioner Hennessy.
I liked this report. It seems to be very broad and very thoughtful. And I kind of think if we go and start looking at a golf course per se, are we competing? Then you have to, it sort of opens up a can of worms. Are we competing when we have campsites? Are we competing with cabins? Are we competing when we have venues that people could hold a wedding reception? I mean, I think that they're all appropriate to the broad range of recreational offerings that we make available to the whole of the residents in Kent County. And I think that even when we go to look at fee structures, we are considering, private fee structures along with our own, so that things remain competitive. But I think that there are, many things we could look at, and I think recreation for our residents, it's something that all of us can take advantage of. I hope that I never find myself in the Kent County Jail, but I'm going to find myself in a park.
Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
Yeah, in the spirit of ending things, I also like the opportunity as we look to grow the regional parks, some of the small parks that we currently own and operate. I had the opportunity to travel down what's called Old 131, and there's that little park that maybe the village of Sand Lake should own as opposed to the county, that's right inside. Mill Creek Park, downtown Comstock Park. I mean, these tiny little pocket parks, they probably made 100% sense that the county got them at one time. At this time, though, who's got a lawnmower going by it already, where I think one of those townships that own Comstock Park would be a better owner of that. So again, yeah, well, we're in negotiating mood as well, so the administrator can get in the room with those township folks and we can give these parks better homes. But again, in all seriousness, what really is our role with the regional parks and those pieces where again, I like the talk of acquisition and how do we build these things out so they can be passive. At the same time, even passive parks are expensive to maintain because people get out there and beat up trails and things like that just by using them. So it's going to take some additional resources. I know the Parks Foundation's excited about the master plan. At the same time, let's hope they can leverage additional resources here and in Lansing. So good stuff.
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to item 6, also from the Parks. Wayman?
Yes, this is a request to the board to create a Brewer Park expansion project in the Capital Improvement Project Fund to acquire approximately .77 acres adjacent to Brewer Park and to appropriate $66,000 to the 2018 general fund budget for transfer to Brewer Park expansion CIP project. Brewer Park is in Gaines Township and is currently encompasses 95.6 acres, which is used primarily for its soccer fields and disc golf course. The park is in an area where development pressures are strong. Recently, approximately .77 acres adjacent to the current park property became available for the county to purchase. Acquiring this land is consistent with several objectives set forth in the department's Parks, Trails, and Natural Areas master plan. Currently, a property appraisal and other due diligence is being conducted before a final purchase will be recommended.
Is there a motion to approve? Is there support?
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Breeding.
Yeah, this is an awesome park in my district, and there's not a Saturday that goes by except for maybe the middle of winter where these fields are not used, but they're used for other things in the winter. But it's so busy. And I think having that extra access there is really important for the ease of use for the community. So, yeah, I definitely would support this plan.
All right, anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Bukowski.
Can you clarify the cash flow? So this is in the CIP, or this money is in the CIP already for this, or just?
We're asking for permission to take $66,000 and create a CIP plan that would be set aside towards the purchase price of this. We don't have an appraisal done yet or the other due diligence, but the money would be set aside.
This is funding coming out of the general fund, 2018 general fund budget.
Yep, from the holiday, health insurance holiday. So we're setting aside this amount of money and then the next one for.
You may want to explain that a little bit.
Oh, we're
here.
doing this so it doesn't lapse, kind of thing.
We're trying to make sure before the end of the year that we could set aside funds so that from the health insurance holiday savings that we had this year towards parks acquisition, they'll be put into the CIP fund, and then we'll be able to finalize appraisals, things like that, and then come back to you with approval to purchase based on appraisals and things like that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Antor?
Thank you, Chair. The $66,000, how was that derived, where was that derived from?
Before Roger's retirement, he had talked to the landowner, and they had discussed numbers and roundabouts, but it was all based on appraisals and county policy and things like that. So we think we're in the ballpark. We don't know if it's the right number or not. So that's why we're setting that amount aside.
I was just wondering if are we hamstringing ourselves at all by saying there's so much money we have? Was the amount going to be less than that, and they're going to?
County policies, like to look at appraisals and pay appraisal prices. So again, this is a set aside, and we'll be coming back to you with the appraisals and what those say.
We typically, in these parks, parcels, properties that we purchase is based on the assessed current appraisal price. It's not to sweeten these deals. It's to stay within the appraisals. So that's been our policy.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan?
So this proposed access, is that a 66-foot wide easement, or?
That hasn't been finalized.
Okay.
But the idea would be is that we would have a
There's going to be a lot of
public
traffic, I
street,
imagine,
yeah.
coming in and out of there. That's why I'm asking. So, but it just seems like it's nice to have access to our parks, so.
This was a goal that we've had for a long time, to get a second access.
Hey, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That brings us to item number 7, also from the Parks Department. Wayman.
Yeah, this is a request to the board to create a Two Rivers Park expansion project in the Capital Improvement Project Fund to acquire approximately 23 additional acres adjacent to Two Rivers Park and to appropriate $267,000 to the 2018 general fund budget for transfer to the Two Rivers CIP project. Two Rivers Park in Caledonia Township currently encompasses 261.3 acres with 3.5 miles of frontage near the Thornapple and Coldwater Rivers. The park is in the area where development pressures are strong and park land is limited. Recently, approximately 23 acres adjacent to the current park's property became available for the county to purchase. Acquiring this land is consistent with several objectives set forth in the department's Parks, Trails, and Natural Areas Master Plan. Currently, a property appraisal and other due diligence is being conducted before final purchase is recommended.
Is there a motion to approve? Is there support? Moved and supported. Questions, comments, and discussion on this one? Yes, Commissioner Morgan.
Just a comment. I remember when we bought this piece years ago, and it was right in with the confluence of those two rivers, so it's a really, really cool location and park, so.
Commissioner Brady?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, Caledonia Township, I believe, is where this land is, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely a beautiful area. It's a great place for our county to have access to some of the water, too. That's definitely a need in the area to get on the Thornapple River, so good opportunity here.
Okay, anyone else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. That brings us to Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner Miscellaneous? Yes, Commissioner Melton.
I just have one, and I know unfortunately many of the speakers have left by now, but I'm, for one, always very impressed and pleased to see when our community comes and feels passionate about issues that we discuss and that they are interested, that they read, they know, they want their voices to be heard, and I certainly welcome that. I am sorry that they're not here to see that, but I would like just to, for the minutes, to reflect that I personally am always glad when our community comes out and lets us know what they have to think or have to say about something.
Okay, anyone else? Commissioner Voorhees.
Madam Chair, I just hope the news won't report that we put a bar in the courthouse.
Right. Thank you. Anyone else?
That took me a minute.
I actually got that one.
Okay. All right. Seeing none, we will be adjourned to January 3rd.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County. We are Kent County.
Beya, Kent County. Ami, Kent County. Somos, Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.